what are the roots of the problem?
I think we can summarize it in the word affirmation, in the sense of lack of it. Growing up with a lack of affirmation, which is a lack of a psychological strengthening, so that a person grows up without ever having received the gift of their specialness, their uniqueness, their significance in the world, their individuality. And this happens really in circumstances beyond the person's control, that he grows up this way. Actually, it's not his fault.
I hear the word affirmation very often today, and I often heard of some books that they tell you to like look in the mirror and say, I'm a good person, I'm special. Is this the type of affirmation you're talking about, or could you tell me what you mean by a true affirmation?
Yes, actually what you've just described is what a lot of people think, but it's really not what I'm talking about at all. Actually, what you're describing is what could be called self-affirmation, where a person is kind of keeping a scorecard, adding up points about how much self-esteem he can gain, more or less trying to climb a ladder of self-esteem. That's really self-affirmation, and this is not really what I'm talking about.
Could you maybe give me some illustrations of the deprivation syndrome?
Right, I think that what we're talking about here is actually rooted in a background of a person where they have not really been given the gift of their own purpose in life, their goodness, their weight, their worth, their psychological talents, and they have not also been given a beautiful image of themselves, who they were created to be by God. And when we're talking about the kind of backgrounds that this lack really grows up in, it is bred in, we're talking about, for example, a kind of background, let's say the mother who really wishes her child was never born, is a mother who, I think one of my clients once called a kind of mother who gave him a psychological abortion, was cold, contemptuous, actually was more or less averse to her child, repulsed by him. That would be one type of background, the kind of cold mother. Then another one, which is probably more familiar to our viewers, would be the rejecting father, the father who is critical and fault-finding and really is not satisfied with his son.
Would it be like, so you're saying would the family history be a breeding ground for this?
Yes. The family history is really what we're talking about as being important for really not providing this affirmation.
And so could also, not only neglect, could overprotecting be
Yes, actually those are two good examples of causal scenarios. I think one would be the benign neglecting parents who actually are so busy with their own lives that they don't bother providing it for, providing actual quality time for their kids. And there's also the, I would call it the overprotective family that really is just so busy doing things for the child that the child doesn't feel capable of doing things for himself.
And I'm sure like abuse would also be a factor in the deprivation.
Definitely. The abusive family background is probably the clearest example, and as you could probably imagine, we're talking about a phenomenon that can pass down from one generation to another.
So it could be like a domino effect that takes place among the generations.
Yes. Yes, that is what it is, that when one child has not received the gift of affirmation, he can't give it to his children.
Okay. So perhaps we should take a short break and to listen to some music about the deprivation complication.
Okay.
Comes to mind the time when I was a wide-eyed, fearful little child, and I remember when my daddy left home what a surprise. Yeah. There's so much inside of me that needs to be heard. The tears I've wept, the pain of loss I suffered, the anger I felt and still feel. There's so much inside of me, so much. But I must go on. I'm a grown man now. Still I desire to have my arms around him and his around me, and let the love we have for each other heal the wounds of old. Oh, oh. La da 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 da, da 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 da. Miss you.